moment. I was sitting in my car in the driveway and I know God. I know God. And I sat in my driveway and I cried out and I said, God, I know you. Con un palabra hicites el mundo y con una palabra pusites las estrellas. Y con una palabra puedes salvar a mi hija. Y no me voy a mover hasta que lo salvas. Estaba bien enojada y no me iba a mover hasta que él me contestaba. Ese era el comienzo de 6 años más difícil en mi vida. Pero yo sabía que Dios iba a estar conmigo y nunca me iba a faltar el fe para andar con él esos 6 años. Human traffickers know that if they can get a boy and a girl hooked on drugs, then they've got their commodity, because it is so hard to stop drug use.
She didn't come home, even though they'd asked for permission to go on a date. I'm probably about age 21 now. And so he has asked me, can we go on this date? And so he's trying to be a gentleman, it seems. And so they go on a date, and he doesn't, they don't come home when they say. And so when we come back to deal with the problem, I believe we couldn't get a hold of them all night long. And so in the next morning when I came back, Elsa goes to the store where he worked, and she basically made a very big scene in the store saying, your employee has our daughter. We want her back. We're not leaving. Or she said, I'm not leaving until you get him here. And so in front of all the customers and everything, Elsa makes a stand.
Share the stories, like what it was like to be human trafficked. She told us the true stories of how they starved them and they'd promise them things. She told us the stories of what the men would say and how they'd answer their phones, and their kids would call from the baseball fields and say, I'll be right there. During this time, the pain was very overwhelming, and the way that I dealt with the pain was to, surround myself with people. I could share what I was feeling, and I could hear stories of other families walking through the same thing and be encouraged. They also helped me understand how to not get on the roller coaster with my daughter, so I could respond and not react when we were walking with her.
Through our experiences, what we have learned is that we want to spend the rest of our life encouraging other families, that you may run into times that you've never imagined. It could come from so many different ways. But we are stronger than we think sometimes. We do have to do extra work to learn things. We do have to reach out and get help from others. We do have to allow ourselves to take that next step forward. What we can't do is shut down and say, I don't know how I could get through today. In your decisions, you can learn how to respond to a difficult family member who's going through a difficult time and not make the problem worse. But you can bring them in and build a relationship and understand each other and hopefully help each other. And I said, I just talked to Elsa first, and I said, I really need to go down and visit her. So in October of 2016, I go down to visit her. I just had a bad feeling, and I said, I would like to come and meet these people who...
Her gullibility to open the door and say, come on in to the police, obviously really quickly let the police know what they were doing, because she, showed them all the wigs, and all the men got caught really quick because she was so quick to let them in. And so they quickly gave her a first-class ticket back to Florida.
We lose control of the situation, and you don't know how it will spiral. And I think this was probably the first time she was really involved in a real organization of something rather than a one-person situation. I had many people that would agree to meet me and talk with me, and that's from Broward County, that's from homicide, that's from counselors that had helped her, that is from
And for the Diary of Anne Frank, and
8th grade.
8th grade, and for every performance, we sat on the front row with our mouth dropped open that was our daughter, that not only could she memorize every line, but that she was confident and
seemed to be enjoying it. To blame whoever we could blame, how did these things happen? And so as that time continued through, by the time of, as Elsa would comment, about 6 years, there was a night one time, we had many nights where there was a lot of crying and phone calls coming from different places, and we would just say, when is this nightmare going to end? And I remember one time telling Elsa, I said, I feel like it's gonna be our year, it's gonna be rest, it's gonna be finally moving to a new situation. I don't know why I said that. I'm not trying to say God told me that, but I did feel like God was telling me that. Little did I know that next year she would pass. But what happened during that time was I began to understand, life is a great adventure of good and bad. We've had some amazing highs. I had so many what I would call wins, so many great things going in my life with the family and all this. I guess I just was unprepared that some devastation would come. And so that really, it was something I needed to learn, a lesson I needed to also learn through this. It's a horrible thing, and yet good came out of it. So I absolutely feel that I grew a lot through this. And so in the end, I feel like I'm able to help people who maybe they wouldn't find themselves able to get through that. So